All right, what do you got? Sam, how we doing, buddy?
Great. I'm excited for the playoffs.
Listen, that's right. We made it through the regular season. We are here now in the playoffs, the postseason. Every regular season game played, a lot of it seemed that Twitter really wanted to give Roger Goodell a pat on the back for that.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, we roll in with wild card weekend here. Last week.
Last week. Okay.
Yeah. Last week, I went even 2-2. You profited though, 3-1, right?
3-1 without Statman Cam, bringing my Mortal Lock record to 6-1 without Statman Cam. Speaking of no Statman Cam, he is also not here today. Would you like to tell our viewers why?
Yeah, so some sources are giving us some information that Statman Cam was seen hanging with Kevin Stefanski over the weekend, and he got COVID. So
he's attended maybe one too many housewarmings.
Yeah.
Maybe
Do we know if Kevin Stefanski got a new house lately?
Probably. He has to be fully moved into Cleveland. It's his first year coaching there.
Yeah. So anyway, regular season well, obviously, shout out to Statman Cam. Hopefully you fully recover and you don't give COVID to anybody else.
Please don't.
But don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
That's actually pretty wild that Statman Cam first co-host or host to get COVID on this show.
Yeah, and one of us, I'm not going to name names, has been gallivanting all around Philadelphia and still has no way of getting it. So, poor Cam.
All right, so yeah, that brings our regular season records to technically we both have the same amount of wins. You just have a couple less losses, so your profits are a little bit higher than mine. But regardless, we either made you money or you evened out, so your entertainment is free on us. We provide you, you know how when they advertise Sunday Ticket on for Sundays, they're like, oh, this is never nonstop action, you'll never miss a beat. Well, we not only provide that, but we make it 10 times better because you have a ridiculous amount of money on the games and we didn't lose you any.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, if you took all of our Mortal Locks on the season, you'd be positive, I think.
Yeah. We'd have to go back and look, and I'm not doing that. But Statman Cam, maybe while you're in recovery from COVID, you can do that if you're listening to this. Go back and look at every single pick that we've ever made. We might be in the money. It's possible.
We probably picked against each other on every single bet, so it would probably be dead even with losing your 10% commission on every bet. So who knows? But yeah, it's been a great season. It's been fun. Thank you, the viewers, for listening to us, and we're excited to get into it on the playoffs.
Yeah. So with that said, you ready to hop into these?
I mean, why not? Might as well.
All right. Before we do hop into those, I just want to make a note that for the postseason, as most people are aware, everybody kind of has to play their guts out, especially those who are looking for a contract. They have to do great. They have to do wondrous things in the postseason to have that highlight reel going into the offseason when they meet with their GMs and sign the dotted line for their paycheck. So just like a player in the NFL would be doing right now, we also have to earn our paychecks. Therefore, we will not be having any sponsors in the postseason. Maybe I have a couple of things lined up potentially for a Super Bowl episode. But that determines how we do in the postseason. So that should be perfectly enough motivation for the both of us as we start out with the wild card weekend. Our first game is in Buffalo. We have the Indianapolis Colts at the Buffalo Bills. The line opens as touchdown favorites for the Bills. Line moves down a little bit to 6 in some places, 6.5 in others. 60% of the bets are on the Bills, 40% are on the Colts. Sam, what do you got?
Yeah, this is an interesting game. I don't know if they played during the regular season. I don't think they did, but who cares, I guess. It's hard not to just love the Bills here. They have their fans back for the first time this season. Bills Mafia is going to be in attendance. I know it's not full fans, but still some sort of capacity. They're going to be getting after it. It's their first playoff appearance in God knows how long. They're the 2 seed. I mean, they have a good team. They just dominated the shit out of the Dolphins in a game that the Dolphins needed to have to make the playoffs, and the Bills didn't care about at all. And still almost put up 60 points. So it's hard not to love the Bills, and for that reason, I'm going to take the Colts.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked a little bit before the episode about how a lot of the favorites this week look really nice. Thus, well, you'll see, I guess, for some, maybe. I can't not take the Bills here, though. Like, I can't not take the Bills here. I know exactly why you're taking the Colts because of how good they look. It's they really are begging you, just looking at the stats behind the bets and the money. They're really begging you to take the Bills. I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked because of the hype that the Bills have. So let's look at something that we talked about last week with the Baltimore Ravens and how they are flying under the radar going into the postseason. And the reason why they have failed in the postseason the past couple of seasons is because of how high they go into the playoffs, how much expectation there is. They're quote unquote rolling on all cylinders. I think that might be the perception behind the Buffalo Bills right now. And I wouldn't be shocked if they go in, they have a little bit of nerves, or they have a little bit of their heads held too high against a team who lost to who did they just lose to? The Steelers, right? 2 weeks ago. They lost to the Steelers 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I mean, the Colts are okay. They can win games, and they can win games against great teams. The problem with the Colts is the stretch run. So I wouldn't be shocked if this game maybe starts out in favor of the Colts. They get a decent little lead, and kind of everybody's looking around like, what the hell is happening? And maybe the Bills come in for a backdoor. Yeah, I have to take the Bills. I have to.
I do want to say in your benefit and retract a statement I made earlier. But so first, for your benefit, the Bills have covered in their last 5 games. I don't know if it goes deeper than that. I can only see their last 5, and they've covered in all 5. I want to retract a statement of me saying the Bills haven't made the playoffs in forever, because I think they had like a 14 or 17-0 lead last year to the Texans and blew that, right? That was the Josh Allen blows a playoff game.
Yes. The drought ended last season. Yes.
Yeah. So maybe he has a Lamar type thing where he has to go 0-2 to start his career in the playoffs, and then from next year he'll be fine. But I do think the Bills win this game. It's just I'll buy it up to 7. It's a lot of points there for a playoff game where 2 teams are. I do think the Bills are great. I just think the Colts are also a very good team. I think they're more evenly matched in a 7-point spread.
Yeah. I think that the Bills ultimately have definitely more weapons on offense than the Colts do. I think if the Colts are smart, they will run the ball a lot in this game.
And the Bills' run defense is pretty terrible.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Taylor pretty good. I think it's going to be I think there's going to be a lot of ball running in this game. And the Colts defense is very good. Very good defense they have over there.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to the Seattle-Los Angeles Rams game. Seattle home point favorites at 4.5. Line moves down a bit to 3.5, 3 in some places. Again, like I mentioned in the last segment, there's every line doesn't really like every line you immediately see it and you're like, grab me that. I want that. Like your football brain says, I want that. There is no reason to be taking the Rams here, but please tell me why I should.
I'm exactly going to tell you why I should, because I'm going to be on the Rams on this one too. 58% of the bets are on the Seahawks. 50% of the money, it's split 50-50 between the Rams and the Seahawks in terms of the money percentage. The line has still dropped from 4.5 to 3.5, which I think is pretty significant in telling that Vegas kind of wants you to keep betting on the Seahawks here. So I think I'm going to take the Rams. I did say, I know 2 weeks ago, before the loss to the Jets, I was like, the Rams are my favorite to go to the Super Bowl out of the NFC. They look like a big bag of doo-doo. Is Jared Goff playing?
I think he has to be with this line.
Yeah. I mean, this line would be a 10-point spread if he wasn't.
Yeah, it says that he's throwing in practice, but still limited, so he's technically questionable. Well, as of 1 hour ago of this recording, Thursday night, he's questionable, but he's playing.
He's playing. Take this under the assumption that he's playing. I think you got to bet the Rams here. I'm going to buy it up to 4. The spread is too big for divisional opponents. They split on the season. Both games were pretty close, I'm pretty sure. I think you just gotta. Actually, the last game wasn't that close. It was 20-9, but that's when Goff got hurt. It was going to be a close game. I think you got to take the Rams here, just plus the points. I wouldn't expect them to win. If you're going to get frisky, the first 2 games, take the money line on Bills and Seahawks, parlay that, and then also take the spread on the Colts and Rams and parlay that. Why not?
Yeah, I have a little something up my sleeve regarding parlays and teasers for before we get to our mortal locks. But so the last, as you just mentioned, the last time the Seahawks and the Rams played 2 weeks ago, 20-9, and then when they played earlier in the year in November, 23-16 in favor of the Rams. So both of those differences in points are more than this spread. If this was 4.5, if this was still 4.5, I would love the Rams.
It can be 4.5 if you buy it.
If you buy it, but I'm not buying it. I think the Seahawks win 24-20 or 28-24, something along those lines. I like 4 points a lot. So I'm gonna still take the favorite here. I'm gonna take the Seahawks.
I didn't do a good enough job of convincing you on why to take the Rams.
What's that?
I didn't do a good enough job of convincing you on why.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
You didn't. I knew that you were going to take them, but you didn't convince me. No.
Let's just look at the money.
I do think that one thing I will say is the Seahawks, since the Jets game. I mean, well, actually, no. Let's bring it back even further. We know for this entire season that
the Seahawks play 1-score games every time.
Yes. Okay. Yes, I was just about to say that. The Seahawks this entire season's MO is that they keep games close. They can never pull away from anyone ever aside from the Jets. After the Jets game, Redskins, they tight game.
Football team.
By 5. They win by 5. The Rams, after a Jared Goff injury, they win by 11. And then the Niners, they had to sneak out the Niners in a game that could have had them if it wasn't for the Packers beating the Bears.
Like a loss. It was a very long, for a while. They were down, 16-6?
So I will agree with you. Yes, I will agree with you that the Seahawks have not looked like the team they probably are, especially offensively. If anything, it's almost like they flipped the script on both sides because they started out with one of the worst defenses in the league. They've kind of rolled back, but now, when was the last time DK Metcalf scored a touchdown?
Yeah, the offensive line is horrid, and DK Metcalf takes a long time to run his routes. Well, it doesn't take that long to run deep for him because he's very fast, but, you need some time, and you just don't have the time with how bad that offensive line is. And Aaron Donald on the defensive line as the Rams.
I just don't see a situation where this game is ending up in Russell Wilson's hands with a 2-minute drill to win the game. I don't think the Rams will be in that position. And if they are, it'll be by 4 points, and they'll have to win by a touchdown. Thus, you push on the 3. If anything, you're going to buy this down to 2.5. You're buying this down to 2.5. What?
It's 2.5 right now.
I see it at 3 in some spots.
Oh, that's a lie.
Either way, I think instead of buying it up to 4.5 for the Rams, I think you buy this. I don't think the Rams win this game. I think the Seahawks win this game, and you buy it down to 2.5. All right, we're spending too much time on this game. Moving on, we have the last Saturday game for this weekend. The Buccaneers at the Washington football team. Wild that we have a game in Washington this weekend. Do we know if the stadium, if FedEx Field, is being taken over by any protesters yet?
Probably. That's probably where they're congregating.
The line opens with the Washington football team as 7.5-point dogs. Can you imagine as a playoff team being a 7.5-point home dog?
I mean, I can when you only have 7 wins on the season.
Yeah. I get it. The line currently stands as is some places 8.5, but that's not any popular books. 59% of the bets are on the Bucks. That's no surprise there. Sam, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every single favorite is a game you just have to take, and therefore I just have to take the underdog. Like, the Buccaneers are 8 points better than Washington. I don't care where this game is played. This game could be played in front of 500,000 screaming Washington football team fans right into Tom Brady's ear, and Tom Brady is going to destroy this team. The Bucs offensive line has looked a lot better of late. They're giving Tom Brady time. Tom Brady has looked amazing as of late. He does have to go from playing in Florida, I guess, back to the Northeast, but that shouldn't be a problem. He played in New England for 20 years. I want to take the Bucs so bad. I want to.
Do it. Do it.
All right, I'll take the Bucs, but I'm not happy about it.
Are you taking the 7.5, or are you gonna buy it down?
Well, if it's at 7.5, I'm going to buy that, but I'm seeing it's at 8. So I think you got to click on odds data. That's what you got to be looking at. Live odds is what they opened at.
All right. Well, whatever.
Anyway, but yeah, if it's at 7.5, I'll buy it down to 7. Obviously, you have to. But if it's at 8, I'm probably keeping it at 8.
Okay. Yeah. So Chase Young, rookie.
Actually, I want to say something. Sorry.
Go for it.
The over under is too small for a team to win by more than 8 points. Therefore, I'm going Washington.
44 is actually.
I just don't see like a 31 to like 13 game. Like I think it would be like.
You don't?
20. I'd be like 21 to 14.
Oh, I see like remnants of potentially the Detroit Lions game that the Bucs played a couple.
That would go over them. That would go way over.
Yeah. No. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if Tom Brady gets pulled in the third.
Fine, I'm back on the Bucs.
I think that. Well, I mean,
I don't think the Washington football team can't score. They can't score. They're not going to score against this team. I'm on the Bucs.
They barely did anything against the Eagles. The Eagles had to literally lose that game. So I think
they refused to pick up fumbles. The Eagles, there was a ball in the guy's hands. He just casually moved his arms to the side so the ball wouldn't fall into his arms.
Yeah, I mean, there's no NFC East team deserves to be here, and the rest of the league knows that. So if
scares me.
If it is like a 4-point game, so say the Bucs are only up by 4, like Washington's actually keeping it close by halftime. Oh, there's no way that the Bucs like don't lay it on them in the second half.
There's also no Mike Evans.
They were out.
I'm not happy with it, but I'll take the Bucs.
I think there's only one thing. It's not a logistical thing that you look at in this, but it is a storyline. Like I do love the narratives on things. So I will say that Chase Young, after last week's barely a win against the Eagles, say hi to Colin.
Yo, what's up, Colin?
Barely beat the Eagles. Chase Young runs into the locker room saying, I want you, Brady. I'm coming for you, Brady. I'm coming for you. You do not, as a rookie in this league, you do not say that.
That's his Kirk Cousins moment.
You're a moron. And it's going to come back to bite you in the ass. I'm taking the Bucs here. You have to take the Bucs here. You have to.
I also want I'm going to stick with the Bucs, but I also do want to know one other thing, which is sad to me, but I feel like our viewers as a podcast, we should be impartial and kind of give them all the statistics. Tom Brady in his career versus NFC East teams in the playoffs, 1-3.
You say that again?
Tom Brady in his career versus NFC East teams in the playoffs is 1-3. All those NFC East teams had no business beating him either.
Yeah, but
No business.
this team doesn't even have business being in the playoffs. The
The
rest
same with that Giants team. The Giants team was the 6th seed.
they were a little bit more built out than this team is, though.
Well, duh. But same thing, defensive line. That's what Tom Brady struggled against, and that's what the Washington football team has.
We will
Every
see.
NFC team he's lost to, the front seven's been amazing. But yeah, Bucks. I still love you, Tom. I want you to win.
Bucks. We move on. Titans, Ravens. Titans, the home team, catching 3.5 points at home. I don't really quite understand. I mean, I guess maybe now looking at it that they're the home team, but that doesn't really tell me why. The Ravens should be 7.5 point favorites in this game.
No, they shouldn't. You're crazy.
I mean, they've been playing some of the best football in the AFC outside of the Bills the last couple of weeks, the last month of the season. And
I think the Ravens
have been playing some of the worst.
The Ravens have been playing the best football in football for the last 2 months.
Yeah, okay. Well, either way, they're playing some of the best football.
Yeah.
The Titans have been playing some of the worst.
Yeah, I agree. I think
their defense stinks. The Titans' defense stinks.
Stinks.
But
they have Mike Vrabel.
So
defense.
Oh.
I'll tell you what I think is going to happen here. I think there's going to be a lot of running the ball in this game because we do know the Ravens like to run the ball, and Derrick Henry has 2,000 yards on the season. I'll also tell you what I think happens in this game. I think Derrick Henry just runs out of energy. Flat out, just runs out of energy. The guy's been, almost 400 carries on the season? That's a lot. So this is...
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's
400 carries. 400.
That's a lot.
A lot. I like the Ravens. The Ravens, fun fact for you, the Ravens had pretty much, I think by far, by a good 21 points or 20 points, the highest point differential in the league. And for how bad they started, that is very impressive. They've also covered in their last 5 games, so I'm going to ride that hot stick. I also have them to win the Super Bowl at 11-1, so take that with a grain of salt. But going back to my point differential point, 7 out of the last 11 teams to lead the league in point differential have made the Super Bowl. So I think all cards add up. I'll buy it down to 3 because I don't like that hook. I do think this is going to be a much closer game than people anticipate. Only 53% of the bets are on the Ravens, so that means 47% are on the Titans, which pretty close, but 78% of the money is on Baltimore. I ride with the Sharps. Go Ravens.
Okay, I'm just looking at something really quick here. Look up the Ravens' schedule of this season.
I know.
They haven't played anyone, especially in the latter half here. They haven't played one team. They lost to the Steelers the week before the Steelers started just not being 11-0 anymore. They beat the Cowboys. They beat the Browns in a Monday night matchup for the ages, one of the best football games I've seen, but that was a division rival. They beat the Jaguars. They beat the wheels off the Jags, but the Jags are in line for Trevor Lawrence. They beat the Giants. They didn't beat the doors off them. And then they beat the doors off the Bengals, and it's the Bengals. No Joe Burrow, no nobody in a Week 17 matchup that didn't matter. I
understand they haven't played anyone. But when we're looking at things like this, you have to remember that although they played no one, they covered in all those games, and that's very important. That shows the sign of a great team. Good teams win. Great teams cover.
You're right.
They
I
are a
don't
good
disagree
team.
with you. I will be taking the Ravens in this game as well. I will be buying it down to 3 for the push.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
but I mean, it's still something. It is a note to make that they haven't played anyone.
But you could say the same thing about Tennessee in their last 5 games. Like they did have the Packers, which they got their doors blown off, but they've also had the Browns, which we've commented via the Ravens, not great, I guess, even though they're a playoff team. Jacksonville, Detroit, and Houston. So, and they've had a tough time with Houston. And it seemed that early on in that game was Jacksonville, if I remember correctly, they had a tough time, and then they definitely easily pulled away when Derrick Henry went off. But they haven't looked great.
Another thing to note too, talk about narratives, not talking about a narrative going into the game, but a narrative coming out of the game. Wouldn't it be hilarious if the entire country picks up on the idea that, oh, well, the Ravens are kind of flying under the radar? If the entire country thinks about it that way, are they really flying under the radar? And wouldn't it be hilarious if they lost this game? And I mean, if they lose this game, Lamar Jackson is a complete playoff bust. He'll never win a
Yeah,
playoff.
I'd feel bad for him. I wouldn't say he's a playoff bust. I think you just have the Peyton Manning outlook to start. I mean, he's still only 24 years old. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but I mean, they shouldn't be flying under the radar. They have the highest point differential in the league, and they played teams weekly like everyone else did. So I know their end of the season schedule wasn't great, but when they win, they blow the fuck out of teams. So I'm impressed by them. I think they're going to do well.
All right, we will see. That's it for the oh no, that was the Sunday. That was the first Sunday games. I didn't make note of that. We are now moving on to the middle game here on Sunday. Bears, Saints a home team, laying 10.5 at home against Mitch Trubisky and the Bears. 61% of the bets are on the Saints. Sam, I'm going to let you start this one off again here.
Yeah, the Bears kind of got their doors blown off last week. I'd kind of been liking them going into last week. I don't remember who I specifically took. I didn't really like that line last week, I don't think. But I didn't think it would end like how it did. Side note, the Packers are very, very much for real. But anyway, in this game, I think Kamara and Thomas are both back, which kind of hurts the Bears a little bit. I do think the Bears are going to run the ball a lot. They got to keep Drew Brees off the field. New play caller has shown trust in David Montgomery, so I think they're going to run the ball. I don't like the spread at all, but I think I'm going to take the under 47. 62% of the bets are on the over. 62% of the money is on the under. It's dropped from 48 to 47. I like under 47.
I like the over. I think I like the over in this game. I understand why the run game would sway you the other way. But I think the run game is going to be the only way that these teams score, and I think that it will add to the Saints scoring quick. I think that we see a similar setup and a similar play from the Christmas Day game against the Vikings from the Saints. I wouldn't be shocked if Kamara has another 2 or 3 touchdowns. What?
The Vikings defense is so much worse than the Bears.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, the Green Bay game, that was a fluke.
Yeah, I mean, the Saints scheme to me does not say you should bet on them to win by 11. The way their playbook is set up. I just think that, this seems, I'm conflicted now. I'm conflicted on the over. I'm not touching the over-under. I think that I will take the Saints here because in the playoffs, you don't let anybody get an inch ever. Even in the second half, even if you're up by 42 points, you don't let those teams get an inch. So I think that the Saints can comfortably go into the fourth quarter up by at least 13 and hold. So Yeah, I'll take the Saints. I probably shouldn't, but I will.
Did you just say that their playbook makes it so you shouldn't bet them to win by 11 points?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm going to take the Saints.
Even though they won by 26 last week as well, so that's okay.
So what, the Panthers?
Yeah, and then they beat the Vikings that Christmas game by like 40.
I was just saying I wouldn't be shocked if you see a similar playbook to
That's fine.
that game.
That's fine.
All right, moving on to the final Sunday night game of the weekend. We have the Steelers at home against the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns breaking their playoff streak, first time since 2002. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Crazy.
I mean, like you should, not to make like a 9/11 joke, but you should be able to look back on like this day now, like the day that the Browns have their first playoff game since 2002, especially if they don't make the playoffs again for a couple years, and be like, never forget. Like, never forget.
I don't know why you stuck the 9. I don't know why you stuck the 9/11 thing in there. You could have just said never.
Since
I know, but you could have just said never forget, and it would have been just as good.
Never forget. Steelers open up as 3.5-point favorites. That line quickly jumps to 6 points because the Browns were hanging it out with Statman Cam, and they all have COVID now. Kevin Stefanski has been told that he will not be able to coach this game from the last that I've heard. And are there any other players, significant players that are out as well? No.
I don't think so.
Okay. I mean, I still don't go into a playoff game for the first time and since almost 9/11, never forget, without my head coach, right?
Yeah, that seems to be problematic. If you were to ask me, I have a hot take that I don't think is really much of a hot take, but I think both these teams stink. There, I said it. Steelers been playing bad football. Browns been playing okay football. They lost to the Jets. That's bad. Steelers, I mean, they just haven't looked the same since their first loss. I think I like the Steelers. I mean, they played last week. The Steelers didn't have their QB, and they only lost by 2 at the Browns. This is now going to be in Pittsburgh. Steelers are going to play everyone. Yeah, I like the Steelers, but I hate this game.
I have to unmute myself. I'm coughing a little bit over here. Might be COVID.
Yeah, the conniption over there.
Probably
not. Yeah. Housewarming.
Just
You've been hanging out with Cam.
Yeah, no, I think if Ben Roethlisberger is allowed to control the offense for one quarter of this game.
That's a big if. That's a big if.
Okay, imagine going into the fourth quarter of this game and the Browns are up by 3. Ben Roethlisberger is getting control of that offense, 100%.
He is.
In that scenario, I don't think the Steelers cover the 6, but I don't think it will take until the fourth quarter to allow him to open the offense up. So I'm going to trust Big Ben here. I'm going to trust the Steelers, the state of Pennsylvania. Sorry, Browns fans. But I do think that they are kind of effed with the situation of the only one. Like, all right, think about it like this. Kevin Stefanski, offensive guru, right? You would say.
Yeah.
So in this event.
Why can't.
What?
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, if you let one of two people control the playbook and succeed with it, do you take Baker Mayfield or Ben Roethlisberger?
Say that again.
Basically, if you allow the quarterbacks of both of these teams, because Kevin Stefanski isn't there, I mean, I'm sure that they have other guys in place that are able to.
Did Baker get a BJ that morning?
This past weekend? No.
No, I'm saying in your hypothetical.
I mean, I would hope. Isn't his wife's name Hope? I think it is. Hold on.
I would hope that Hope did her duty. That's not a duty. That's
No,
not
it's Emily. Nowhere close to hope at all. I would hope that he's able to maybe get a little treat before his big day because it's the first.
Yeah. To realistically answer your question, the answer is Ben.
How did Baker Mayfield do in big spots in Oklahoma? Good, right?
Well, I mean, they didn't win a playoff game, so not that good. But yeah, sure. Dude, the Browns are not winning this game.
They're not. They're not. This might be a good time for me to tell you where I'm headed with, I think, a lot of these picks. It's not for mortal locks, but it will be a good transition here. So,
Can I just say one thing before you do that?
sure.
Sorry, I know I'm cutting you off a bunch, but I'm ashamed of the NFL for making this the Sunday night game. There are 3 other games that are way better than this game. Colts, Bills, Ravens, Titans.
Well, let's be honest here. So the schedule should have been this. This is what the schedule should have been. Bucks football team should have been the 1:00 game on Saturday.
Yes.
Fine with the Rams Seahawks being the 4:40 game, and then you make the Colts Bills the Saturday night game. Ravens or Bears Saints should have been the 1:00 game on Sunday.
Yeah.
Then you have Browns Steelers 4:40, and then you have Ravens Titans.
Yeah.
I don't know why the league wasn't able to convince themselves to do that, but that's the ideal schedule.
Just look at the spread, and that should be your order of every game. Highest spread to lowest spread.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a common theme for us over the course of this episode that we are kind of like second guessing ourselves because it looks like you could have like very limited like watch time on the NFL this season, very limited fandom with any of these teams, and be able to look at these lines and know who you're going to take, which makes us second guess ourselves. So I got a little something up my sleeve. It's not a mortal lock, but I will be taking both of these. And I recommend you do the same. So first is a just a 6-team parlay of all the favorites. You take every favorite.
Money line or spread?
Money line. Money line gets you to plus 572. That's decent for every favorite.
Yeah.
So you take that at plus 572, and then the other lines that we got here is a 5-team, not 6, 5-team teaser. And we're going to go with the Bills. It's going to be a 7-point teaser. So you get the Bills to pick them. They just have to win the game. You get
it sounds like someone's crossing 0.
Technically, yeah. Technically, I'm going 0.05 over 0. 0.5 over 0.
Not 0.05. 0.5 over
0. But we're going to do it anyway. I'm allowing it because it's the postseason. My rule book is not – you throw the rule book out the window in the postseason. You have the Seahawks to plus 4.
So another crossing 0.
You have the Bucks to minus 0.5. You have the Ravens to plus 4. And
another cross.
Well, if you cross 0 3 times, it doesn't count.
Yeah, upset each other.
And then you have the Saints to minus 2.5. How does that not hit?
Because you cross 0.
Probably, but you're taking that anyway. I'm taking that.
You like it.
And everybody's taking that.
I do like it.
Okay. So I guess do you have anything else to say before we get into our mortal locks?
No, we can jump right in.
All right, let's jump right in.
Actually, I do have one thing to say.
Sure.
Last week did end up profitable on the week, so donated to the Barstool Fund again. I think for the rest of the season, I'm going to be doing that if I have winning weeks. So they're doing an awesome job. They just went over 20 million, really great cause. So, if you have the means, if our picks get you some money, go ahead and please donate if you can.
There you go. All right, Sam, I'm going to let you start this week off for us here, all right?
Yeah, so I know before the Wow, I just had an aneurysm. Before we started the show, I was talking about how I hated every single game. And now I think I love every single game. I have 6 picks.
Okay.
Not based on every single one, but a lot of double dipping into certain games. But I have 6 that I really like. First one is the first game we talked about. I like the Colts +7. 60% of the bets are on the Bills. 56% of the money is on the Bills. And looking at it now, the line has actually dropped from 7 to 6. It was at 6.5. It live dropped to 6. So I think I'm going to buy a full point. I know that's probably pretty good juice. I think that's -140, but I'm going to buy a full point up to 7. Take the Colts. I don't think the Colts win, but I think they keep it close. 7 points is a lot.
Okay. Yeah, I
You have
don't
3.
know.
How many picks do you have?
What's that?
How many picks do you have?
I don't know. I just made my first one in my head, so that should show you where I'm at right now. So I'm gonna go to a different game. I might go back to that game, but I'm gonna go with a different game to start here. Looking at the Seahawks, it currently still is 3 points or 3.5 points in some places. What do you see? What do you see that at? The Seahawks.
Yeah, it looks like it actually just dropped to 3.
Okay, great. So you're going to buy that right now. I know you're not listening to it, audience, right now. You're listening to it on the weekend, but you're going to buy that right now, and you're going to buy it down to 2.5. So Seahawks 2.5 is what we're taking for our first mortal lock. I don't see how the Seahawks, well, I should say I don't see how the Rams win this game. So yeah, I trust the Seahawks to win by field goal.
Yeah, I'm pretty bummed now because that means we're gonna have a more to lock off, and I haven't won one of them yet this season. But I'm actually gonna buy another full point. Although I do anticipate this will go back up to 3.5 at some point during the weekend. Anticipation alert, set that out there. I do think it will be at 4, so I'm going to take Rams +4. Again, this is a game I think the Seahawks win, but I think they win by a field goal. If that, I could very easily see the Rams being up by 1 or 2 going into the final 2 minutes. Russell drives down, they hold on, kick a field goal. I like the Rams +4, and also the way 58% of the bets on the Seahawks money still moves down, or line still moves down in favor of the Rams. Love the Rams here +4. Lock it in.
All right, I am going to the Saints game down in NOLA. This is a ridiculous line for a playoff game that I probably have no business taking. I don't have any business taking lines this large in the regular season, even though I do all the time, and I will be continuing that trend into the postseason. I don't see how the Saints don't win this game by 2 touchdowns or more. Maybe 13 points. 13,
alternate line.
13 points or more. What's that?
Alternate line.
I do like an alternate line potentially for this game, buying it up a little bit to increase your juice here. But I think the safe play is just to take the 10.5 for the Saints. I would probably buy it down to 10 in that event and get a little bit closer to just 100 odds. So I'm going to take the New Orleans Saints -10 even.
Cool. Yeah. So for my third game of 6, I like the Ravens -3. I'm going to buy that down from 3.5 to 3. I think this is probably such a sucker bet, but I have to be a sucker here. I like the Ravens are just so much better than the Titans, just so much better. So this is not a line movement, although, yeah, this is not a line movement bet. This is a Psalm football bet, which has actually done better than I thought in the most recent weeks. So yeah, Ravens -3. Buy it down.
Okay. Do you have the money stats available to you?
Yeah, which one do you need?
I'm looking at the over/under stats for the Ravens-Titans game.
Yeah, that's a great question. 65% of the bets are on the over. 85% of the money is on the under. The line has moved
down.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm taking the under in that game. So please write me down as a mortal lock for under 54.5 in the Ravens-Titans game. I don't think the Titans will score much, and I think that the Ravens might have. If the Ravens are gonna have any issues in that game, it's gonna be being as hot as they have been. So yeah, under,
Yeah, playoff Lamar.
100% under.
That is also my fourth pick. So we have a
Mutual pick.
yeah, that's what I'm looking for. We have the same pick there. Do you have any? Yeah. Do you have any more, or should I go with my next?
I think I might have another one. So feel free to. Oh well, you just said that you were gonna.
Yeah, I just said my fourth one. So
Yeah. So I'm gonna. I mean, no offense to you, but I know that you're really bad at lock offs. Not lock ons, lock offs.
fuck, don't do it. Don't do it. No, don't do it.
I have to take the Bills. I have to take the Bills.
I mean, I'm due. I'm due for a Mortal Lock-Off win.
You are.
Yeah.
You are. I will agree with you. But I have to take the Bills, and I mean, I know that I'm going to regret this pick so much because it really is it's like every part of my body. It's football brain, football heart. Like, I love the Bills. Like, I want to see them succeed so much. And I think the rest of the country does too. Like, they're America's love child right now in the NFL. And I think that that's probably why you're going to end up winning this lock off. But I have to take it out of principle. Bills -6.
Yeah. So my last two picks, just like my very last one, is all going to be unders. I think the thing here is during hockey season, I'm a big playoff under guy because defenses are better, games moving faster, but goalies just stand on their heads for some fucking reason in playoff hockey. And I think the same sort of thing is going to happen here. I think defenses are going to toughen up a bit. You might see a lot of yards in these games, but not necessarily a lot of scoring. You could have some red zone turnovers, some settling for field goals, some coaches being aggressive, going for it and not getting it. So to go in line with that Ravens, Titans under, do you have any more picks or should I just rattle off both?
Rattle off one right now.
Okay. The other one I like, which you disagreed with earlier, I like the Bears Saints under 47. Reason being for that is I don't even have football brain around that one. This is a line movement bet. 61% of the bets are on the over. 62% of the money is on the under. It has dropped from 48 to 47. Vegas is still begging people to bet the over, even with that line drop. So I think the under is the move there.
Okay. I do have one more. I do have one more.
Okay.
So you don't typically have an opportunity in your lifetime to bet on a playoff game where the head coach is removed for illness. You don't have that opportunity too often in your life. So you have to take advantage of that, and you have to take the Steelers in this game. So I'm going Pittsburgh -6.
Cool. I have a question about that game. Why can't they just put like Kevin Stefanski in like his own isolated suite and let him like radio down the calls?
No idea.
Probably an exposure thing.
He hates the Bills. He knows the Steelers have a bigger fan base.
Browns, not the Bills.
Did I say the Bills?
Yeah.
He knows the Steelers have a bigger fan base. Sorry. Yeah.
Then the dog pound?
Yes. Come on.
I mean, they've rode with their team through 20 years of not making the playoffs.
Popular NFL teams worldwide.
Yeah, but that's bullshit. It's all marketing hype. They don't actually.
You just hate it because you had to get how many rings like to beat them? They had 6, right?
Yeah, we have 6.
Yeah. Oh, so, but that was just a thing because the Patriots were like salty that they had more rings for a while.
The Patriots never lost to the Steelers in a game that mattered. Not once.
I'm just saying that you okay. Well,
I don't hate the Steelers. They just have shitty fans. Anyway,
I hate Pittsburgh. I'm from fucking Philadelphia.
Yeah, my sixth pick, Bills Colts under 51. This is another game we kind of discussed. 69% of the bets are on the over. 82% of the money is on the under. It's dropped from 52.5 to 51. Again, this is a situation where Vegas is going to beg for you to bet on the over, but you got to take the under here. Easy money. It's going to be a lot of running the ball in this game. I know Singletary and Zach Moss are meh, but the Buffalo's going to run the ball if they have a big lead. Colts to stay in this game are going to run the ball. Either way, you're taking the under 51.
Okay. I probably should have mentioned this at the beginning of the episode, but I'll mention it now that this is also going to be the third straight week of an unedited episode because busy season at work for me. So, yeah, that's it. Do you have anything else?
Nah, I mean, let's just go win some money.
I'm looking forward to. I mean, I have a little bit of plans on Saturday to see my dad for his.
Plans? Oh, okay.
My dad for his 50th birthday over the hill.
Happy birthday, Mr. Walker.
So yeah, I will still probably at least be able to see the majority of all these games, but I just have to say, I love Wild Card Weekend because it is literally uh, just 2 straight days of football,
It's the most games we're going to have in a playoff week this season.
and you get to watch all of them.
Yeah.
I'm a big red zone guy. I do love being able to see as much as I can, as like much as possible. But I do love being able to sit back, relax, and watch an entire 4-quarter game between two components.
So this is going to completely disagree with what you just said. I do love being able to do that, but is it just me, or has football like just gotten so much slower than it used to be? It's like a slow game to watch. Like there's not much happening.
I think that's only because of betting.
Yeah, probably.
I think that's only because of betting.
And fucking ad dollars. They cut out commercials so often. But yeah, okay.
They do, and particularly this season because they have to pick up ad revenue
Yeah.
as much as they possibly can. So that might be a thing. I do think betting probably like is gonna really like mentally like f up a lot of people.
I agree.
Sports viewing.
Yeah, probably.
All right, guys, enjoy your playoff weekend. We'll see you next week.
Talk to you guys later.
All right, see ya.